Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. And yes, this video is about Dehya. I don't want to say it's copium because the word is so meme focused. I've been really rattling my head for Dehya. I mean, I made 2 videos so far about her and both of them are doom posting. People claim that they're doom posting, and of course, right, it doesn't really make much sense that HoYoverse would just send one of their characters off to the Neverland to never see the light of day. I must be missing something. We as a community must be missing something. So if you are a Dehya enthusiast, hopefully this video can bring you some resemblance of joy and happiness, and hopefully she turns out to be someone more like Kokomi as opposed to someone more like Eula. Alright, now listen and listen closely, because yes, to get to the end of this video, you're likely going to have to suspend your disbelief and your doubt in that Dehya is just utter garbage, because we need to make some leaps of faith, some judgmental assumptions, so that things can fall into place, if that makes any sense. Okay, now you guys might be wondering, Walrus, okay, that's all cool and dandy, but why the hell is Ganyu on screen? Ganyu is going to be the starting point of this discussion. I don't know how long this video is going to take, but trust me, it probably is one of my better videos because I think a lot of things just clicked. Anyways, let's go right into it. All right, so the thing with Ganyu right now is that, have you guys realized Ganyu slowly has lost her place in a lot of Frozen scenarios, right? Most people nowadays even play Ganyu as a melt character, but an issue with Ganyu melt people have realized is that Ganyu melt just doesn't feel consistent. This is something that's been said over and over again. Where the hell is Zhongli? Is that a lot of players, even though I've made videos saying, well, if you can time it properly, it could work, but to say every single charge attack from Ganyu is consistently melting, it's not consistent. And the problem is because Xiangling really isn't designed so much for Ganyu to melt with as she is designed for a vaporized composition, right? This is nothing really new to anybody. While she can work, the reason you have Xiangling with Ganyu is because we have no one else in this position to pair up with Ganyu. Now, I see some people already like, oh, okay, Walrus is claiming that, you know, Dehya's pyro, so now, right? Oh, melt, how amazing. How is Dehya going to outperform Xiangling in a melt Ganyu team? That is absurd, Walrus. You are just spewing utter garbage again. But hold up a minute and let's take a break, okay? Because right now, I currently believe HoYoverse is desperately, and I mean desperately with a capital D, trying to pivot Pyro into 2 different directions. Okay? It's very clear, because there's no way in hell they're releasing a character like Dehya, a 5-star, very popular character, and designing her in a manner where she herself can't even carry her own weight as a Pyro character, because our whole concept of a Pyro character has been so ingrained in us over the last 2.5 years of playing this game, to the point where we think a Pyro character should have consistency, should have good raw stats, numbers, and uptime, right? It's because we're saying Xiangling is not even what people are comparing Dehya to. Is like, at this point, even Jinyan performs better than Dehya as a raw Pyro carry. But understand that the point was never to make a Pyro carry, okay? Now, this is where we need to go back to the point where HoYoverse is trying to pivot. Have you guys realized HoYoverse has never really doubled down on a melt composition? And why is that? Right? Answer that question for yourselves first. Why the hell has HoYoverse never, in the history of Genshin Impact, doubled down on the fact that the melt reaction is basically just Vaporized 2.0? I'm sure HoYoverse has made bank with Vaporized. Look at Yelan, look at Hu Tao, look at Yoimiya, right? It's just a no-brainer that there's this money sitting on the table, yet HoYoverse is not really capitalizing on it. Now, look at this composition and tell me, what is a better version of Ganyu melt using all the characters we have available? And I'll start, right? Let's remove everybody here. Let's just keep Ganyu. And remember, Ganyu herself isn't even likely going to be the catalyst to a melt composition in the future. There likely will be a new cryo character that is released down the line. I don't know, in Fontaine, maybe post Fontaine, that is going to spearhead the entire melt meta. Now, the character that you guys should have arrived at is Nahida. Now, why the hell is Nahida the catalyst to melt? Now, this whole thing is just, it's wild, because if you guys have noticed and played around with burning, you will realize that there is a very intricate thing going on between cryo, dendro, and pyro, and this is wildly fascinating. So basically this is how it works, right? So let's say you apply pyro to the enemy, and then you apply Nahida's elemental skill, and this only works because it's Nahida. No other dendro character can actually make this work. That's why Nahida is the key. If you chose any other dendro character, you got it wrong. But the reason Nahida works is because cryo doesn't interact with dendro, but cryo interacts with pyro, right? But cryo will also proc Nahida's elemental skill, so that it applies one instance of dendro on the enemy. So now this enemy who has pyro on it activates melt and then activates burning, because Nahida's elemental skill will reapply dendro onto the character that has pyro on it. Hence, the enemy continues to burn. So what ends up happening is like you can actually not have Xiangling on this team, and you can create a essentially eternally burning enemy with any pyro. You just need one instance of initial pyro application, and the character will burn until they die. They will literally burn until they die, as long as you take any other element to hit them without completely removing the pyro application. In this case, Hydro will remove the pyro application. That's why cryo is such a beautiful key to this whole puzzle. It's the fact that burning by itself and Burjin by itself likely is not HoYoverse's end-all be-all plan. The fact that cryo was specifically left out of a dendro reaction is because we are thinking about it at a very fundamental level where, oh, we need to have that initial clash of reaction, or else, you know, we essentially left the element out. But it seems like to me, the more I look at Dehya, the more that I analyze the current state of Genshin Impact and what we have available to us, I realize that cryo was not left behind. Cryo is going to be the ultimate benefactor. Cryo is going to come back and claim what they always deserved, and that is a very well-functioning melt meta. And in order for that to actually work, there has to be a pyro character that comes out, first and foremost, that applies pyro without being a great pyro hyper carry or pyro mono carry. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Right? Let me paint a picture for you guys. Let's say if Dehya came out and she has great passive pyro application and whatnot, higher scaling than Xiangling. Oh, she's a 5-star, right? She's a high. It's like, then why the hell would you play her in a melt composition? Does that make sense? Listen, if Dehya came out functioning very much like Xiangling with higher numbers, better application, like super strong, can play mono pyro, like melt, Dehya would be the last position she would fit into, because first and foremost, she would likely be a great pyro applicator for Ayato, for Tartaglia, all these people who want a powerful off-field pyro applicator. Like you're gonna be like vaping for like hundreds of thousands of damage with the insane scaling. So HoYoverse can't have that contradiction. HoYoverse right here designing Dehya is not trying to make a character that will benefit the traditional vaporized compositions. No. They need to make a clear distinction where, okay, we got our vaporized pyro applicators, meaning they are low scaling, such as Xiangling. Listen, if you're gonna argue with me, Xiangling has high scaling, not today. But Xiangling comparatively has relatively low scaling. You can try your best to make her into a hyper pyro mono DPS. There's a reason why nobody has played her in that regards. It's because her scaling isn't good. She's good with application. She applies a good amount of pyro, which allows the fast-hitting hydro characters to synergize with her. That's why Tartaglia Xiangling makes sense. That's why Ayato Xiangling, these characters make sense with her, right? She's a character that was initially designed for Vaporize, or at least that's how it ended up being meta for her. That's why nowadays people trying to force her to pair with Ganyu. It works, but it doesn't work, if you know what I mean. Like, it works, but it doesn't really work. Now, if you put Bennett here and then you put Xiangling here as well, yeah, like this composition can hit like very, very impressive damage. However, I almost at this point can guarantee you that in a year or so, once we give Melt the time to mature, we'll start to see the value of other pyro characters. The pyro character line that HoYoverse is trying to pioneer right this very moment will come to light in due time. Does that mean this is a good way to release a 5-star character? I still don't think so. But if all these days of me racking my brain, just thinking, asking people what they think has led me to believe something, is that one thing HoYoverse would never do is shoot themselves in the foot. Now, you guys might argue, well, the fact they came out and publicly said there's not going to be any endgame, they shot themselves in the foot. I would beg to argue, because I think their sales are still very consistent. There are newer players pouring into this game. I think a lot of the times people say HoYoverse shot themselves in the foot, it's just them kind of projecting what they want HoYoverse to end up doing, as opposed to the actual reality of things. Back to the point with Dehya. If you watch this point, I hope I'm able to kind of make you feel a little bit better about yourself. Now, you guys would be saying like, oh, Walrus, then why would I even pull Dehya? By your standard, like anyone, like even Amber would suffice, right? Like, oh, what if I put Amber here? No Xiangling, and just put Amber. Wouldn't that be fine as well? Yeah, that would be fine. But Amber, of course, lacks some of the overall kit to kind of sustain a powerful new meta character. Dehya, we don't know the end all be all of her entire kit yet, so there is likely a scenario where you can build Dehya in a certain way that can prove to be worthwhile further down the line once this whole burning melt meta is allowed to mature. Furthermore, Baizhu is also coming, right? Baizhu is a character that a lot of people have been holding their breaths for, and I think Baizhu, if he does come towards the end of the Sumeru era, meaning right before Fontaine, he likely will be a powerful character. Now, how he's going to end up playing out, I don't know, but I would believe that Baizhu would also be a key piece of the puzzle. So let's say you could have Ganyu, you can have Nahida, you can have Dehya, and you can have Baizhu, right? Or is Baizhu somehow supposed to replace Nahida? I don't know. Right now, Nahida, I've said in the past, has too many teams needing this character. If you want to make the best in slot for a lot of the really amazing compositions that are Dendro focused, Nahida is pretty much needed. But I hope HoYoverse makes Baizhu come in to help alleviate some of that stress for her. However, going forward, keep an eye out for future developments of Dendro as well as Melt. Also, for people who want to pull Dehya, you know, this likely is going to be one of those characters where maybe many patches down the line, you can safely look back and say, oh yeah, I made the right choice. But just letting you guys know, if you are going to pull Dehya and you don't have Nahida, you likely will be shooting yourselves in the foot here, because without Nahida, a lot of this theoretical stuff just doesn't even work anymore. You don't really have a character that has good enough consistent Dendro application to allow you to sustain that burning effect with any pyro character. Now at this point, I would even go as far as to say, like, throw in a viridescent user here, like Kazuha, Venti, Sucrose, anybody that can use viridescence, throw it in here, and you'll just have an abundance of pyro application. On top with Nahida, it's going to be just a ton of chaotic fun. And another character that this reintroduces into the meta is someone like Klee. Right? At this point, Klee has been out of this picture for such a long time that I feel like having Nahida with Klee, we can potentially see, you know, a resurgence of a lot of these pyro characters that people just don't use and talk about anymore. But that's just me. At the end of the day, it doesn't make Dehya any better of a character. It's just some more copium for you guys to hold on to, and maybe in the future this would turn out to be true and everything can't be justified. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's just complete the team here. So imagine this third slot is Dehya. Let's just use where is Jin Yan? I mean, at this point, let's complete the meme. Where is Jin Yan for reals though? Let's just complete the meme. Take that as Dehya, and then we can put in, where's Kazuha? We'll slap in Kazuha. This likely will be a great team, right? Ganyu, Nahida, Dehya, Kazuha, and then maybe eventually we'll change Ganyu for a properly designed melt DPS character. Nahida may stay or may end up becoming Baizhu, because we're really lacking a healer in this team. So if Baizhu comes in, maybe we can drop Nahida, slap Baizhu in here, have Dehya as a support DPS, so more like this. Right, maybe Ganyu, Dehya, and then Baizhu, Kazuha, something like that. Tell me guys what you think. This is likely the team I'm going to be playing. It can't get any better than this. I've tried for days. This is the best possible scenario I can come up with where Dehya will likely be somewhat decent. She's going to be pioneering an entire new path line of pyro characters where they likely have different scaling and they're centered more around burning and providing some other utility features as opposed to just raw pyro damage, because the more raw pyro damage you have, the less melt and burning they're going to be, the more vaporized they're going to be, because there's no way, like, I mean, I said it in the video, right? It's just you can't play those characters in melt and burning because they're always going to be better in vaporized compositions. So what the hell is Hoyoverse supposed to do, right? You have to screw them up a little bit. Till next time, urge y'all to stay safe. Peace. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Maybe somebody has it figured out better than me. Okay? Bye.